Thanks for clicking on my YouTube channel. Let me begin with telling you what this channel is all about. First and foremost, it's about economics, as the title says, the economic truckers. What I endeavor to do is to teach the trucking industry on economics, and what in particular what is called modern money theory and public purpose. This is taught from the professors at the University of Missouri at Kansas City. It's important in my view that we as a community understand the power we have in our currency, and that is precisely what modern money theory does, and these professors have been doing for over 20 years. And that is set the record straight on what money is, where it comes from, and at the end we understand the power we have in our own currency. This is what this is about. Let me also make it very clear from the outset that I am not concerned or interested in forming a union in the trucking industry. That's not my goal here. That's not what I want to do. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I am doing, though, is using the trucking industry as a springboard to educate our American citizens on the truth about our currency and our money and the power we have behind it. In order to do that, I need, and I'm enlisting your help in that effort. I'm hoping that you truckers out there will study modern money theory, and I believe it's right here, the link to get to the introductory. It's called The Basics of Modern Money, and then down here in the bottom you should see my subscribe link, and somewhere in between you'll see my email. So my hope is that you will watch this video and get interested in economics and start to teach it yourself. This is my goal. This is what we're trying to do. 4 classes a day, 10 minutes long, and on channel 15 on the radio, on the CB radio throughout the country. Okay, I'm looking for real men and women that'll do this. 4 classes a day, 10 minutes at the top of the hour on channel 15. And it's really important that when you present this class, that you present it in a particular way. And what I'm hoping you do, what I'm wanting to do, is present it in this fashion. This is a public, over the CB radio, this is a public service announcement. It's very important you use those words, because contrary to our enemy, the neoliberals, they believe in privatization. What they want to do is privatize all of what is human, all of what is living. They feel that they have the right to profit out of everything: air, the water that we drink, living and dead things, anything and everything, to make profit for their benefit. Now, there's nothing wrong with profit, of course. I'm not anti-capitalist. I believe in the capitalist system. As a matter of fact, modern money theory is very much behind capitalism. What they teach, though, and what they've been saying, is that it should work for the 99% and not just for the 1%. And there's a real social problems when you have income inequality, like we've seen over the last 30 years. So I'm not anti-capitalist. So what we want to do is we want to focus on the public purpose of our money, our currency. And again, like I said, it's contrary to neoliberals. So it's very important that we use the words, this is a public service announcement, that at the top of the hour on channel 15, I'm going to be giving a 10-minute class on economics. And once you start to study modern money theory, you can see that there are many different topics you can get into. You can get into the jobs guarantee program aspect of modern money, why it makes no sense to say that the government cannot afford anything it wants in its own currency, that we're not broke, we don't owe China any money, that federal taxes do not pay for federal spending. All this you're going to learn in modern money theory. So again, the hope is that I'm looking for people that'll across the country give these classes and educate the trucking community, because that trucking community is going to act as a springboard to educate the country. 99.9% of the people in America right now, if you ask them anything about currency and their money, they have no clue what it is. And worse than that, they believe and go down this rabbit hole of this private banking system and the Rothschilds and so on and so forth, and nothing could be further from the truth. It's very much to the advantage of the people in power that keep us in the dark about the power we truly have in our currency. So what I endeavor to do, what I want to do, is to educate Americans on the opposite, the truth about modern money, our money. So please help me in this effort. This is the introductory video. In the future, I'm going to continue giving more videos on modern money and our progress as a trucking community on our goal and mission to educate the public about modern money. I also like to at this point say that it's clear, it's not debatable, that we are politically irrelevant. What I mean by we is working class Americans, middle class Americans. And what I mean by politically irrelevant is that the people that are in power, that make the decisions and carry out policies that benefit the wealthy and not the working class, clearly don't care what we think and it's not important to them, and they don't act on what we are trying to do. Like, for instance, single payer health care. 80% of Americans believe it's a right and that we should be able to have single payer health care, and they ignore us or find a way around it. So let's make it perfectly clear that we are politically irrelevant, that they're ignoring us, right? And lastly, the understanding of the power that we have in our currency could be used. If we understand it, we can use that power in our benefit to create a society and a country that is of the people, by the people, for the people. So you see, we're a democracy, and we are governed by consent. We have representatives that represent our interests, but we know now for maybe 30 years plus that is not true. We have an oligarchy that doesn't pay attention to us. So what we're doing is we're, as Bill Mitchell would say, reclaiming the state and gaining it back. In order to do that, that's not an easy process. It's not a quick process, but if we're sustained, if we're serious, if we're brave, and we believe that we can do it, then we can. We can do anything we want if we just set our minds to it and we work in solidarity and work towards a goal. So the end game of all this effort is free and fair elections. Lawrence Lessig would say that we have two elections in America. The first election is that election that takes place within the wealthy. They pick their candidates that best represents their interest. And then after they have their elections, they give campaign donations, and they prop up through the media and through money and so on and so forth their candidates, and then they present their candidates in front of the people, and they ask us people to choose from them too. And we understand that as not as the democracy, but as an oligarchy. So much so that during the last presidential campaign, they had so much power, and they were able to finagle the primaries in such a way that it stole the election from Bernie Sanders, who was very much for the people, right? So what we're trying to do is reclaim the state. So the end game is to have free and fair elections, and to make sure that we have such a process that makes it fair, in the sense that we have open primaries for both Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, that it's not closed. Therefore, they have a lot of control on that. So we understand that having free and fair elections, we at least have a chance for democracy, and then we're on a fair playing field. It is. I don't have any problems. We don't have any problems with people being rich. Okay, that's not the issue. You made your money. It's debatable whether or not you made that money by working. Now that's debatable, but setting that aside for a moment, we don't have a problem with that. What we do have a problem is the fact that you take your money and you use it in such a way that is detrimental to the 99%. All we're saying is that if we understand the power we have in our currency, we would find that we, in fact, have more money than the most wealthy person in America, because our money is spent. Our money is spent into existence. We tell Congress this is what we want, and the Congress spends the money. So there's never a bill that we can't pay. We're not in debt to China or anybody else. How can the currency issuer be in debt to anybody? It's impossible. That makes no sense. All these things you're going to learn when you learn about modern money theory. So again, I ask you to study it, and if you're interested in giving that class at least 4 times a day on the road and the highways, email me at truckersecon101@gmail.com. That's plural, truckersecon101@gmail.com. and we'll go over a couple of particular things, important things like making sure that it's a public service announcement and a few other things that I want to talk to you about setting that up. Also, tell your friends, tell your trucker friends to visit my channel, The Economic Trucker, and subscribe. And of course, start out with the basics of modern money, that YouTube video. Thanks for listening. I wish you well, and let me leave you with one thought. We are Americans and believe that we're a free country and we're free people. But yet, the one thing that is enslaving us right now, money, powerful people with money, can actually free us if we only understood the power. We, as a sovereign country, as a group of people, understood that power and worked together towards that. We can turn this thing around, and that which enslaves us right now can free us, to the point that in the future, very soon, if we're not careful and we don't do what is right by our children, we'll even lose our country, like Greece lost their country when they gave up their currency. Okay, so it is very important that we understand our currency. No more, not just for the American dream and now, but now more to the point for our national sovereignty and patriotic duty. So be men, be real men, and fight for what is right, and have understanding, and get a hold of me, email me, watch my YouTube video, pass it on. That's truckersecon101@gmail.com, or my channel, The Economic Trucker, and also the basics of modern money. Study modern money. It really doesn't take that long to understand the basics of what we're talking about here. And once you understand it, believe me when I tell you, your world will be turned upside down. And that is the truth of how sovereign countries issuing its own currency taxes and spends its money, like Japan, the UK, Australia, the United States. Okay? Thanks for watching, and please tell your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.